They looked like an ordinary family, until I realized they weren't moving at all. At all. My job the grandson demanded I leave the woman, calling themselves alpha humans. I pointed to the black box behind my rearview mirror. That is a high-definition dash camera, I told them. It is recording right now, and for my safety, it streams a live, encrypted feed directly to county servers. If you kill me, the federal government will see what you are and find you. They hesitated. I offered a deal. They let us go, and I would delete the footage and tell the agency she had a medical emergency. They accepted. They leapt into the tree canopy and vanished. I drove straight to the hospital and then to my office. I told the IT administrator there was a privacy breach on my camera and deleted the file from the network. But I made an encrypted copy first. I am leaving this story here as a dead man's switch. If I see you in the tree line outside my window, I will publish the evidence to every network on this planet. Up next, my grandma made cactus jam while a metal angel slaughtered our town. Not really. That sounds ugly, I know. But you didn't live in our town. You didn't. Strength is not screaming first, she used to say in her quiet voice. Strength is bending and not snapping. Bullshit. Sometimes bending just means letting the boot stay on your neck. Then the necro angel came, and all those pretty words turned to crap. People were dying, slaughtered. Kids were dying. And Grandma Rachela was still making freaking jam. One day the necro angel hit the food reservoir. It was bad. It came through the roof like a metal bird dropped from heaven by someone who hated us. It smashed the water barrels. It tore through sacks of flour. It ripped open cans, bags, boxes, anything. There were people hiding in there. 3 guards, 2 kids, 1 old woman who had gone in to count dried beans. It cut through them like they were nothing. Its hands, his hands I guess, burned red when he did it. A few quick swings and people came apart. Our survival was failing and the monster was just getting started. While it was doing that, it also shoved its face into the food. Oil, powdered milk, protein paste, dried fruit, old wrappers, spoiled grain. At one point, it picked up some torn little shiny wrapper from the old world. Maybe chocolate, maybe candy. I don't know. It pressed it to its mouth. That was the strange part. He didn't need to eat, I knew that. He didn't swallow anything, but he still went for that old chocolate candy wrapper for some weird-ass reason. Then it threw it away and killed Darn's little sister. So yeah, I was done waiting for the old folk to do something. They were too weak, too scared, or maybe just too tired to admit they had already given up. That night, Grandma Rachela gave out cactus jam on hard bread, probably to make people forget our food was running out by the minute. People cried while eating it. That made me sick. I knocked the bread out of her hand. "You make jam while children die," I said. Everyone heard me. Her face changed. Just a little, like I had hit her somewhere soft. "Julian, your mother would," she started. "No," I cut her off. "Don't Julian me. Don't bring her into this. She's not here. Don't tell me to wait. Don't tell me this is strength." The few old folks standing there looked away. That told me I was right. Grandma just stood there holding the empty plate. "You think dying angry is better than living scared?" she asked. "I think living like this isn't really living," I said. I wanted proof she wasn't just one big ball of coward, that she actually cared enough to fight for our lives. But she only said, "Please don't throw your life at that thing." Then she touched my face like I was still a kid. "We used the old radio to call Brertown. They may know how to handle a necro angel. Just wait a little longer, Julie. Please, I need you alive, my boy." And that was when I knew. I knew she loved me. I knew she loved everyone. But love without action is just a blanket on a corpse. So we made a plan. There were 9 of us. Young idiots, maybe. But at least we were doing something. We would hit the necro angel at the old solar field. The mirrors still moved if you kicked the gears. There were service trenches, cables, hooks, broken battery towers, enough junk to make a trap. The old folks said no. I knew we shouldn't have asked them. Grandma Rachela begged me not to go. She cried. That broke my heart more than I want to admit. She was too afraid to understand what had to be done. This was for all of us, for the town, for whatever future we had left. Because if we didn't fight, we weren't people anymore. We were just lambs waiting for the knife. She actually grabbed my arm. Julian, listen to me. Not yet. Not yet." I hated those 2 words. "People are dead now," I said. I pulled away. None of us were prepared for what happened next. The necro angel came near sunset. It flew low, wings cutting the red sky into pieces. And for 1 minute, we were heroes. I swear we almost had it. Sava got a cable around one wing. Narya dropped a mirror array right into its face. I ran under it with a metal spike made from a pump rod. There was a seam under its ribs, a blue glow there, like some sort of pure energy. I drove the spike in with both hands. The casing cracked. Light spilled out. The thing screamed, not like an animal, like a dozen radios all dying at once. We cheered. That was the stupidest sound I ever made, because then it healed. It healed around the spike. It tore the cable loose and took Sava with it, bending him like a twig until we heard the sickening snap. Narya ran. It caught her. JJ tried to pull me back, but one metal wing sliced through him and sprayed his blood across my face, hot and metallic in my mouth. Before I could even blink, it caught Narya and threw her into the mirror wall, where she came apart. After that, there was no battle, just slaughter. It moved through us like we were weeds. Then I saw Grandma. She had followed us. This old woman, this sweet little jam-making woman, was running across the solar field with a hook in her hand. She was screaming my name. The necro angel had me pinned, and I could smell its breath, hot metal, burnt wires, and rotten meat. Grandma hit its leg with the hook. She actually tried to pull it off me. For 1 stupid second, I forgot everything. I forgot the old folk. I forgot the fights. I forgot the jam. She was just my grandma. Then the necro angel kicked her away. She rolled across the dirt and didn't get up. The thing grabbed me. Its wings opened. We went up, fast. The town got small under us. I knew then that I had killed everyone. Not with my own hands, but still, I had pissed it off. I had cracked it open. I had made it mad enough to finish the town. I thought the story ended there, but I was wrong. It would kill Grandma, if she's not dead already. It would kill the kids in the cooling room. It would rip the solar machine apart just because we had dared touch it. And now it was going to rip me apart in the sky. It started doing exactly that. One hand on my shoulder, one on my hip, pulling. I felt something tear. I still had a broken piece of spike in my hand, I don't know how. I jammed it into the cracked glowing place under its ribs. The necro angel twitched. Its grip slipped. I think I landed in the ravine east of town. I should have died. I didn't. Lucky me. It took me hours to crawl and limp back. I knew I had to find shelter before the sun came out. My arm hung wrong. My mouth was full of blood. I kept hearing wings even when there were none. All I could think was, the town is gone. Grandma is dead. My friends are dead. I kept crawling and stumbling. I had no choice. I reached the ridge above town as night was turning into morning. I almost didn't look. I didn't want to see fires. But there were no fires. There were lights. Real lights. The main street was glowing. The pump house was lit. The cooling tower had power. Windows shone yellow. For a second I thought I was still dying in the ravine, and this was some weird form of near-death hallucination. So I continued crawling to the nearest building, the solar station. Then I smelled it as I came close. Cactus jam. Warm. Sweet. Thick. Coming from the solar station. From the solar station? Maybe I was dying. I crawled and limped down there like a drunk ghost. Grandma Richella was inside the control room. Alive. Burned on one side. Hands wrapped in cloth. Face gray with pain. But alive. You came back, she said. I didn't hug her. I couldn't. She stood up and slowly walked toward me. What did you do? I asked. She pointed down. There was a cable hatch open behind the main console. She hugged me and helped me move closer to peek into the hatch. The necro angel was in the engine chamber. I jumped back by instinct. Grandma caught my arm and gave me half a smile. It's fine, she said. Chained. Clamped. Folded into the old machine like someone had stuffed an angel into a furnace. Its metal wings were crushed against the walls. Its body kept healing and tearing and healing again. The light in its chest was wired into the solar station with copper, ceramic, old battery rods, and things I didn't even know the names of. Blue light pulsed through the cables. The whole town hummed with it. She mumbled something about fusion power, whatever the hell that meant. I didn't know. I didn't care. The necro angel saw me. It spoke with 100 broken voices. I backed up so hard I hit the stairs. You caught it, I said. No, she said. We both did. I turned on her. What? You cracked the casing, in the field, and again when you somehow escaped it. She looked at the thing, not me. Before that it was too strong, too careful. It was the jam, she said. The green dotted one, it came for it and, well, she gave a tired little smile. It got jammed. I just stood there trying to make my brain accept what she had just said. I remembered the food reservoir, the oil, the paste, the wrapper. You knew. I guessed. For how long? Since the first month. And you didn't tell us? She looked at me. Would you have waited? I wanted to say yes, but I had blood on my clothes that answered for me. She went on. It was human once, she said. Not fully now, maybe not even mostly, but enough. She looked toward the chamber. The AI part smelled food stores, sugar, fermentation, all that old world stuff. But the human part, she swallowed. The human part wanted something sweet. A taste of before. Nostalgia maybe. God knows what was left of him in there. So you used the jam. I heated every jar I had in the vents, made the whole station stink of sugar and cactus fruit. She gave a small sad laugh. Strongest sweet smell for miles. It came here. It came here wounded, angry, hungry, and confused. And you were waiting. Yes. I wanted to hate her. Part of me still did. My friends died, I said. I know. You let us think you were doing nothing. I was doing something. You let people die. Her face broke then. Not a lot, just enough. Yes, she said. Then she put her burned hand on my cheek. My dear, I was scared every day. I am scared right now. You always told me to be strong. I did. You looked weak. I know. The lights flickered above us. The necro angel screamed below. Grandma said, strength is not never being afraid. That's child talk. Strength is being afraid and still keeping your hands steady. I started crying. She pulled me close. I let her. She smelled like smoke, blood, and cactus sugar. Above us, people were cheering because the water was running. Kids were laughing in the cooling room. Old people were touching light switches like miracles. Under us, the necroangel's core fed the town. A monster, a human, a machine, a weapon, a power source, and somehow, God help us, a sweet tooth. Up next. Arnold had always hated school, even though he loved learning. He loved books, reading, mathematics and the sciences and the arts, music especially. All of it filled and interested and provoked a little spark of soul within his small and demure frame. He loved knowledge. Its temple was his refuge. But school. Walnutwood High School in Little Hicksville, Old Fair Oaks, that place was a temple of torment, pain, humiliation, constant angst. He knew he was a weakling. He knew he was a coward. It was just another reason to hate his parents. The freaking retards couldn't even couple up with someone bigger or something. He'd started his freshman year an awkward and goofy but good-natured quiet kid. By his senior year, he was oftentimes reading about and oftentimes sympathizing with school shooters. It was relentless. All of them teased and kicked and prodded. Every last rat-freaking one was cruel and sadistic in that special mentally addled way that especially belongs to teenagers and bigger children. He'd contemplated suicide, but he knew he was too much of a coward to go through with it. There was no escape for him, unless he made it out. Just gotta finish out the year. Then I can join the army or something. Get the freaking away from this place. He bit his tongue and clenched his fists and discovered the soothing, numbing escape relief of his father's booze cabinet. He would sneak a few pulls late at night, and the handful of times he was truant from class, the old man either didn't notice anything or didn't give enough of a freaking to say anything about it. He had ways of getting by, of coping with the freaking knuckle-draggers. He took their crap and kept moving. He didn't engage or want anything to do with any of them, and after a while they got the idea, and except for the occasional jab, his acne they particularly loved to make fun of, they left Arnold Voorhees alone, and he left them alone. The balance of pariah and the populace was kept. There was some kind of desperate, demented child rendition of peace, until that day in the cafeteria, the day that was to be the beginning of his reckoning, his final act. Andrew Collins, one of the heavy metal toughs and bad boys all the dumb sluts liked, pantsed him in front of nearly the entire upper class of the school, during lunch break for the second period. Everyone had gaped stunned and then howled with banshee laughter, pointing, hysterical bursting, tears, mad tears of jeering and joy. It was like an artillery bomb blast assault of laughter, a gale force of jeers and blasting voices on the little thin nerd, known timidly as Arnold Voorhees. The worst was his underwear. They were hella kitty, and he knew it. Whitey-tighties with Spider-Man and the Green Goblin and Doc Ock on him. He'd had 'em since he was 12. His mother had insisted. Nice fucking shorts, jerk boy. What are you? Fucking 5 years old? You fucking virgin? Pussy, jerk boy, pizza face. You got a great fucking mug for your little baby underpants and your little fucking slumber party. Don't forget crackers and juice, pizza face. They all loved that one and they jumped on it. It became a chant, a war cry song from primitive teenage vocal cords and young belting animal child voice boxes. Pizza face, pizza face, pizza face, pizza face, pizza, dot, face, dot, pizza face, period. Arnold scrambled for his shorts and dropped his tray of lunch and fumbled his backpack and spilled more things, books, binders, pencils, comic books, and this just brought down more harsh laughter from the children. They all howled mad hyena cackling until it finally chased him from the cafeteria. He ran all the way home down the street, sobbing with humiliated childish abandon, completely lost to it. He felt broken by it, finally, completely devastated, broken over a great unyielding me, decimated, no coming back, no recovery. He was done. Weeping with abandon into the hot, moistening sanctuary of his pillowcase, Arnold got an idea that would serve as his downfall. His humiliation was just the beginning. It was the week just before Thanksgiving, the final Friday before a full week off. They were all of them expecting such a nice getaway, a pleasant retreat. He would rob it from them, rip it away from right out under their nose, like a ghoul prowling and thieving into a midnight grave. He stole his dad's pistol, a Glock, had said it was Gramps'. It was easily wrapped up and hidden away in his backpack, but nothing would go according to plan. It was only to end in grotesque misery, and it all started with his own cowardice, his own spineless, gutless self. He should have known he wasn't going to have the guts to go through with it. There he stood, in the spot he'd pre-selected in the hall, next to the principal's office and cleaning supply closet. He'd been there, standing, sweating profusely, the rest of the student body and staff buzzing and blurring by, as usual, and he just couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to free the machine, to wrap his finger around the trigger and let the lead fly and let fate decide and let God sort it out. Because that wasn't him. He had the hate, the cold misanthropic ire that knew no bounds or relief. But he had no conviction. None. He just felt light and lightheaded and like he was going to throw up. They don't even notice me. They're not even looking. And standing here with doom in a cradle, ready to be wielded and bring the end of everything for these pustule maggots. But they don't even register it. I'm not on anyone's radar. No one even notices. No one gives a freaking about me. And on the heels of all of that, he realized, I can't do this. And so without thinking and without any mind, paid his way as the students and staff made their way to their lockers and offices and extracurricular activities. Arnold Voorhees stole himself away into the cleaning closet. One of many on campus, the janitor kept solvents and supplies for the upkeep and maintenance of the facility. He'd already left for the extended weekend, a favor from the principal. Go ahead and get some living done, buddy. No one noticed him go in. No one saw or heard a thing. And Arnold didn't hear the lock snap click into place behind him. There was no keyhole on the inside, and the janitor had left the door slightly ajar so that the other staff could get in there if needed. Nobody remembered this, not before they all left for the break, and not once during the entire Thanksgiving weekend. Arnold knew very quickly something was wrong. After he'd cried himself hoarse and thanked God and begged for forgiveness, he'd shuddered and shivered and danced a little in his own skin with gooseflesh as he shed off the last of his tears. Then he'd thanked God one more time and tried the door. And the door would not. Not comprehending right away, he tried the handle again. It didn't budge. Not an inch. Panicked, he began throwing all of his limited weight and feeble strength into the effort to wrench the door handle to move, to give. He grew more desperate with each futile thrashing. He then began to holler, like a madman facing the gallows death end sentencing. He howled, desperate and frightened. Help! 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 Please! Please! Someone, I'm trapped in here! Help! He scrambled for his phone in his pocket. He freed it frantically, hoping against what he already knew. Dead. And his charger was at home. Well, yeah, numbfuck. You didn't exactly expect to be using it right now. Not after capping your classmates and teachers. Nope, hadn't expected. Scared and bewildered, he shouted, "Ah! I wasn't expecting this." and in childish adolescent boy rage, he threw the useless dead collection of plastic to the tile of the closet, and it burst and it shattered. He knew it was really freaking stupid, but it didn't matter. It made him feel a little better. Just a little. Besides, you're already really racking up the stupid crap already. Why not go for broke? More, numbfuck. Crap for brains, dog cunt bastard. You stupid, worthless. And his mind went on like that for over an hour. Meanwhile, the few students and teachers still left, not many, they were nearly all of them so excited to get away for a while, dwindled and vacated the premises. Till all that was left was Arnold Voorhees in his little locked closet. No one heard his clamoring and caterwauled cries through the thick metal door that protected the cleaning supplies cabinet. It was to be his own new little home for the holiday. He cried and begged and screamed. He pounded at the door fruitlessly. And then he screamed some more. Help! Me! Please! Please! He begged God. But no one answered. No one was coming. He was alone and cold, and he was getting hungry. His misery was growing and settling in like venomous weight. Pain. He thought he'd known pain before, but this had been a child's illusion. Now he was learning. Outside, after the first night he hadn't come home, his mother and father had reported him missing. The police searched the town and talked to a few people. But it was tough. The kid didn't have any friends. No one knew what the freaking he'd be doing. The only clue was the kid's dad saying some crap like, well, he's always moody and bitchy. He's probably just finally run away or something. Or something. Nice, thought the cops, and went back to work. Nice fucking folks. Nice fucking kid. Jesus. No one thought to check the school. Nobody. After the third night, Arnold Voorhees thought he might go freaking crazy. Ballistic. Had he thought he'd known pain before? Really? Had he been that deficient in his true understanding of agony and torment? His shoulder and hands were bloody and blistered from further feeble efforts with the solid metal door. Efforts and throws and attempts that were growing weaker and more feeble, and starved by the second, by the minute. The agonized and cruel hour. The sanity-shattering, crawling torment of the day, the night. But then again he'd lost track of time in there, in that small and cramped womb space of metal and wood. Time had died. Time had been murdered by this place. By his stupidity. Wait. Stupid. Murder. Murdering. And then it came to him, the gun. I can shoot out the lock? Like in the fucking movies. Like in the fucking movies. He began screaming it as he freed it from his backpack. Like in the fucking movies. Over and over again. He brought the gun to the door, checked the mag to make sure it was loaded and that the safety was off. It was cool. Good. It was good to go. A beat. But was he? Despite all his bluster and internal self-boasting, he'd never actually fired a gun before. Never even held it more than a couple times. And all those times had been in the reassuring adult company of his father or Uncle Justin. But it's easy. You've seen it a million times in movies and TV and crap. Yeah, just point it at the lock, I guess, and pull the trigger. Yeah, his confidence was fading. Fear was filling in its diminishing, retreating ranks. But what the freaking else are you gonna do? A beat. God damn it, why am I such a pussy? A beat. He took a deep breath. A beat. Another. Freaking it, he decided. No other choice. He put the barrel of the gun up to the door, nuzzling it into the place he suspected the lock to be, just below the handle. He settled the wide-open mouth bore to the place, and with one last deep breath he pulled the trigger and fired, clumsily. His limp wrist had gave at the last second as his little finger had struggled to actually squeeze the trigger. When it went off, it went at an angle, and instead of puncturing the metal of the door, it ricocheted off the solid metal and around the room. Arnold Voorhees screamed, shrieked like he couldn't believe it. The bullet bounced around and hit one of the metal shelves, and whined and careened with another ricochet howl, puncturing several large plastic industrial-sized jugs of cleaning solvents, some of them bleach, some of them containing ammonia. They began to mix and become trench warfare vapor on the tile, in poison puddles and pools. Arnold ripped off his shirt and forced it to his mouth, but his head was already starting to get fatally woozy. He started to swoon, his vision dancing as his swaying feet and knees went the other way. He collapsed to his ass, and considered himself defeated. I'm gonna die of trench warfare poison in the janitor's closet at Walnutwood. Jesus. God damn it. The poison was filling the small space with white vaporous death, a chemical phantom. And still the animal need filled him. Hunger. Starving. He was so freaking hungry even the idea of lapping up the pool of cleaning chemicals, chemically burning in a puddle before him, crossed his battered, tired mind, as cruel time continued to die slowly slaughtered and drag on before him. His worn and weary brain, God, he'd eat anything right now. Anything. The idea came to him as his nostrils and vocal cords and throat and brains burned with white phosphorus chemical death. His thoughts danced with the toxic fumes in peculiar directions. He'd been thinking about his classmates, his peers, the ones he'd wanted to murder a century ago, before he'd found himself trapped in the closet with trench warfare gas as his first hot and heavy date. What did they call him? They called him so many things, but what was the last one again? The one he really hated. The one that really hurt, the one they really loved to lay on thick. Pizza face. That's right, pizza face. And they were right, weren't they? His face was a landscape ruin of pink and yellow and sacks of pus. And whenever he itched them, which was too often according to his father and the gym coach, they did give off this cheesy wafting stench, like cheap cheese, string cheese, gas station cheese that belonged on plastic-wrapped sandwiches, or came in a can, or a wrapping of cellophane with some brine at the bottom. Yeah, he itched them now. The white death was a phantom of chemical cloud filling his head and the space. He smelled his fingers. Yeah, cheesy. Hella cheesy. A beet, he thought deeply. Smelling, kinda yummy even. Without further thought, he squeezed a ripe one, pinched between numbed fingers that felt fat and far away. It burst easily and filled his pinching fingers with wet green and yellow and blood. He smelled them again before he sucked his fingers. A beet. His face lit up. Delicious. Ambrosial. A beet. He popped another. Sucked his bloody pus-dripping fingers again. Sucked. His eyes grew even wider, filled with tears. I've never tasted anything like it. He survived, somehow, trapped in the closet with the chemical white death phantom, sucking desperate air through his sogging shirt, picking and eating and sucking animal desperate at his pus-bloody fingers. Sucking animal desperate, like his grubby bloody digits were a natural treat. He survived somehow, as the week dragged on, trapped with his own bloody discharge feast and chloramine phantom. As he picked and dug at his own ruining face, digging into the developing craters like a tweaker with hunting-picking disease, he found more substantial meat to seize, and with which to feast. He dug and tore, and the phantom of chemistry he was trapped with made the digging easier. It sloughed and came apart in strips and sheets of raw and pus and flesh and glistening, stinging tissue strips. It came apart like pulled pork in his red and slickening hands, as the rest of the town was enjoying their own respective holiday family feasts. He ate. He ate deeply at his own flesh and face, and the chemical burn phantom aided him, and he had courage now. Finally, he had the courage to do what was necessary, to survive conviction. Trapped in the temple of knowledge with the chloramine ghost during the pagan week, had forced him to grow a spine. Finally, the janitor was the first to open the door. He thought it smelled a little funny. He was one of the first ones there that morning after the break, along with a few teachers, the principal, and a few bright and early students. The ones that couldn't wait to get away from the visiting relatives and the cooped-up family dinners. Some of them wondered about Arnie, old pizza face, the sad sack nerd, but not much. None of them were worried. The moment he unlocked the door, it flew open, exploding back on its hinges. The heavy metal door crashed against the wall, and the janitor jumped back. Arnold Voorhees lurched out like a vicious Igor thing, roaring. His face was raw and red and nothing else save for a few thin tendon strands and cheeky chunks of tissue and flesh, like a little bit of melted cheese stretched and pulled over the saucy face of an Italian pie. He was shirtless. It was wrapped in a fist balled at his side, soaked with spittle and the chemical ether cloud that was pouring out like a ghost of phantasm mist from behind him. His tight blue jeans stank of sweat and old and fresh piss. His other hand was level, and it held a gun. And he'd only used one shot. He still had a handful to use now. For the few that were gathered there for his rebirth transformation, the janitor in the lead, Arnold Voorhees leveled the gun of his father and roared and squeezed the trigger, making the gun roar with him, louder, much louder. Overtaking the decibel of his screaming voice, his chemically corroded and fried shrieking black metal voice. He squeezed the trigger, roaring with his new raw red face insane with murder, and livid pain, and the gun in his hand filled the hallway room world of the little school before him with violent cacophonous thunder. The shots found marks, all of them. The police were called. They arrived on the scene with the paramedics and took Arnold Voorhees into custody. But the papers and the media blitz coverage had a different name for him. Something funny, something one of the kids said. The end. Up next, the skin had already grown over my mouth when I tried to scream. Every time I tried to unlock my device, I'd get the same face not recognized message over and over again. It got to a point where I just gave up. I couldn't deal with it. It was annoying, sure, but nothing to lose my mind over. But then, I had to pee. Entering the bathroom, my heart sank, and my jaw would have dropped had it been there. But no, I was not who I was 20 minutes ago. I had eyes, and that's about it. Just two beady irises staring back at me in the reflection, widening into a look of pure horror. I tried to scream, and all that I could produce was a weak, muffled noise like I was underwater. Skin had grown over my lips and nose, making my face look smooth and doll-like. My hair was replaced with more skin. Not normal skin either. Gray, decaying skin that flaked away with every movement I made. I was paralyzed, too shocked, too afraid to even attempt to look away. And in that shock, my body must have been trying to protect me, because I hadn't even realized I couldn't breathe until I was already on the brink of passing out. But that wasn't the worst part. The smooth skin over my facial features began to glow, from red to purple, and from purple to blue, but right before the lights went out, I noticed something. Skin began to grow from my eyelids, stretching from the top to the bottom at a snail's pace. All went black. I'm not dead yet. I know I'm not dead. I'm still here, still aware. I can feel the cold tiled floor of my bathroom beneath me. My thoughts keep racing at 100 miles a minute, but all I'm able to see is darkness. Up next, it takes about 45 minutes to cook human flesh to perfection. Like, you have to know that we're only friends because you pose literally no threat to any other guy. You're my safe friend, silly. That was a stab to the heart. I'd finally worked up the courage to ask Emily out, a few days before her big going-away bash. She was the girl I'd had a crush on since elementary school. I tried to laugh it off and play it cool, but internally, I'd already mentally abandoned our friendship. I replaced that bond with a feeling of betrayal and hatred. Had she not noticed the notes I'd leave on her windshield? The flowers I had delivered anonymously? I'd even sneak in little hints about who they were from. Was that not enough? These thoughts plagued me, clawing at my mind until they took over. I followed Emily home on Thursday. It felt like a dream. Not the sky watching from above, nor the trees dancing in the breeze. Nothing seemed real. She was anxious to get home to pack for her trip to Europe. She wanted to study abroad and become a lawyer. I would have loved to watch her practice or rub her feet after a long day, but she ruined our future. Stupid jerk. To think I once loved her. Of course I still love her. She's all I have. That's why I needed to talk to her. And then it got weird. If she didn't like me following her, fine, but she had to at least listen. When we reached her building, I hid behind a tree. I didn't want to be seen. I waited about 15 or 20 minutes before another resident arrived, and I slipped through the door behind them. I remembered from her texts that she was on the 3rd floor, and an old photo showed she was in apartment 10B. I found it, but I also found a pair of men's shoes resting right beside Emily's pink Nikes. My heart began to pound so hard I could feel it in my ears. I turned the handle, and the door was unlocked. I stepped inside and saw a trail of clothes leading to the bedroom. I made my presence known, calling her name. Emily, Emily, I'm here. I heard movement and harsh whispers. She and Sean came out of the room, barely dressed. Sean was my other best friend. He knew how I felt about her. He was the one who helped me find the confidence to ask her out, and yet here he was, looking at me like I was the bad guy. I couldn't do anything but laugh. Through her screams and threats to call the police, I just laughed. I grabbed a kitchen knife. Sean tried to reason with me, telling me I was being irrational. Me, the crazy one, not the two people who betrayed me? You'd be surprised how easy it is to cut a throat. It's so delicate. One nick is all it takes. I had to silence her screams. They reminded me of my mother, and I hated my mother. It felt like heaven when I did it. Like a new version of myself was being born. Powerful, in control, and level-headed. I felt nothing but pure adrenaline with each severed part. Sean, I tossed into trash bags. Emily, I wanted to savor her. I wanted to keep a piece of her with me. I'm not delusional. I knew she was gone. But I figured there was something I could do to keep her. It takes about 45 minutes to cook human flesh to perfection. I checked periodically, and when it was ready, it smelled just like pork. I made sandwiches out of the meat for the party. I wanted Emily to have a proper farewell, and what better way than to share her with our friends? I'm going to miss her, but she helped me discover my true self. The guests are going to be very surprised when Emmy doesn't show up to her own party.